Hello and Monday. It's Happy Monday, and finishing the book of Acts this week. We're in Acts chapter 27, starting in verse 39. And when it was day, they did not recognize the land, but they observed a bay with a beach, onto which they planned to run the ship, if possible. And they let go of the anchors and let them in the sea. Meanwhile, loosing the rudder ropes, they hoisted the mainsail to the wind and made for shore. But striking a place where the two seas met, they ran the ship aground, and the prow struck fast, and remained immovable, but the stern was being broken up by the violence of the waves. So here's what happened. They were in the storm, and Paul said, "Hey, be of good cheer. God's going to save you." They haven't eaten for 2 weeks now. And Paul's like, "You need to eat something. God's with us." And they're still wondering if God is with them. And the soldiers' plan was to kill the prisoners, lest any of them should swim away and escape. Now, that's a very important thing because, see, if a prisoner escaped back in ancient times, especially under Roman rule, then the Roman prisoner who let the person escape, they would be killed because they let the person escape. So it was better for them to kill the prisoners than to let them escape in any way, shape, or form. But the centurion, though, wanting to save Paul, now that's interesting. He wants to save Paul. The centurion here, who doesn't know a whole lot, but Paul's been in the boat. You think Paul kept quiet about his faith? And the whole storm, hey, I'm praying to God. God says we're going to be fine. He's going to everybody with me. He's going to be safe. And he has the centurion's ear because there's probably a difference in how Paul is approaching this storm, this circumstance. As Christians, we should approach things a little bit different than the world does. We shouldn't be quite as scatterbrained or panicked or things like that. I know right now in my life, there's a lot of things going on, and in some things I don't like but I can't control everything. And a long time ago, I used to try to control everything, and people who know me probably think I still try to a certain extent. But we got to just realize, hey, it's going to be what it'll be, and God is in control. And sometimes I got to think back and go, okay, yep, that's going on, that's going on. But you know what? Really, I just gotta follow Jesus, and he knows how it's going and how things are going to be. But the centurion, I mean, Paul, he wanted to save Paul alive because normally the centurion knows if they die, he's the leader. He's going to die too if someone escapes. So he commanded that those who could swim to jump overboard first and get to land, and the rest, some on boards and some on parts of the ship. So it was that they all escaped safely to land. That's a very interesting point here because they all escaped safely to land. Because God told Paul, hey, not one person will die. It says not even one of the hairs of their head will fall off. Because God was caring for Paul, but not only was he caring for Paul, what was also Paul doing? And he was calming the circumstance. He was saying, trusting God. But what was he showing to all those prisoners? There is something better. There is something more. There is someone you can go to in a time of a storm in your life, and God actually does care about them. Now, most of these prisoners and most of these guards, they weren't they probably weren't Christians yet. The Roman guards, they probably were like most Romans who prayed to a certain god, the flavor of the month, for lack of a better term. They would pray different gods for different things. It's amazing, they pray for all different gods. I mean, it can't be more than one god. I mean, think about that. How chaotic that would be. It's chaotic now with all the different people that are supposedly in charge of our government. Imagine, just one guy who actually loved us was in charge. It'd be so much a better system. That's what God offers. But he's showing those people that he cared for them, even though they might not have been with him. They might not have believed it. They might have laughed at Paul and how he talked about God. They might not have cared at all. Maybe only the centurion actually cared for Paul's well-being because he was beginning to listen to what Paul had to say. But God was showing those prisoners and those guards that, you know what, there's more to this life, and I love you, and I want to have a relationship with you. And everything that Paul said came true. Why? Because God was backing him up, because God wanted to show his love to those in that boat as well. And because of the way Paul approached the situation. And that's, as Christians, that's what we got to do. How do we approach things? Should be different than how the world approaches it. And when we do, it makes a difference, and it shows up. And we know here it showed up because the centurion wanted to save Paul alive. There was something about Paul's attitude, Paul's demeanor, that spoke volumes to the guy in charge. You know what? And then he in turn said, "Okay, we're going to listen to this guy." What an amazing thing, a platform Paul had to share about the love of God. So think about the next time you go through a storm. Sometimes it's not so much the storm's not really the problem. The storm sometimes is an opportunity for us to show the world how different we are as we go through it. All right. Well, you have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow. Start Acts chapter 28, the last chapter in Acts, and we'll finish that over the next couple of days. Remember, Jesus loves you. I love you, and you're absolutely awesome.